Friday, 7th November 2025. Something really, really scary is happening in the world. Um, there are a couple of things happening. Um, it's now 23:11 European Standard Time. Um, the police in the Netherlands have shot a man with a knife wielding man, and according to protocol, the government is now involved in investigating the murder of policemen firing bullets at this knife wielding man. And there are protocols and laws in place to handle this situation. And it's nice. It's not nice. It is horrible. Um, it's a metaphor for a point I'm willing to make, because um, the President of the United States has said on public TV that he will just start kill people um, who bring drugs into the country, and because he has said other heinous things, this is like a normal Trump thing to say, and it's normalized for him to say random bullshit, but he's really crossing a number of lines with if you think just illustrating my point of this knife wielding man in the kingdom of the Netherlands. They should have de-escalated the situation, and it didn't work out. They needed to, for their own safety, to. It was an accident, I think. I don't know. I wasn't there. There are protocols. There are the government is now taking investigation protocols, and maybe the policeman who didn't de-escalate will get a fine or will get suspension. They will get a penalty, something, because you just can't just kill people if even if you are a policeman. And it's a horrible situation that everybody wants to avoid, and therefore there's psychology professors and teachers, and we have the verzorgingsstaat. You don't have to be homeless in the Netherlands, because there are certain protocols in place that where if you just need to knock on the right door, if you can find the right door, then there are people that are willing to help you get off the street, get off your maybe mental problems, drug addictions, or whatever you have been evicted from your house, or whatever the situation is. People don't have to stay the night on the street, but it's your choice if you want to live on the street. That's not really a choice. It's just it's not healthy for your uh, state of mind. Your physiological body doesn't really comply with the hunter-gatherer um, times anymore. It's cold out, especially in winter. The point I'm trying to make is that there doesn't need to be any suffering in the world, because there's enough money, there is enough knowledge, there are enough people educated enough to help other people, because people love to help people. And I'm trying to find Trump his quote saying, just as a proof of a source that I'm not making this up, but no. okay, well, okay, just okay. He said like, okay, we're just gonna start killing people who do bad stuff without any protocol and action for um like a judge who says, okay, you did a crime, you gotta go to jail, you gotta pay a fine, you gotta go to a course, or you have to be put away from society because you're a menace to society, and there are people educated to help you get sort things out in a jail or in a cushioned cell or something. And there are protocols and laws written in blood for these. There's the International Crime Court if you commit war crimes against humanity. Um, but that's not all. That's just one of those things that is happening today. 42 million American citizens are going hungry, and also a judge needs to confront Trump once again to say you can't let 42 million people go hungry. There are protocols in place, there are programs financed by tax dollars to prevent people going hungry, children, mommies, daddies, veterans, disabled, working class, who's, I don't know, just human beings going hungry. People need food to survive a day and the next and the next and the next. And in the same day, it's some next level shit going on because Elon Musk has been presented a bonus over the course of 12 trenches. He can get, if he maintains certain goals, like 20 million cars being sold, he can get $1 trillion. That's generational wealth in a single business deal. That's more than a couple of countries GPT combined. He has a couple of kids who he can make very generational wealthy. They can live in luxury the rest of their lives, and their offspring and their offspring and their offspring, until we have settled a colony on Mars or something. If we do not survive the global warming climate crisis. So that's happening today. Uh, Also, on a personal note, somebody I know has been euthanized in a project within 5 years, and I've known this person for like 2 years maybe, and I followed her on Instagram and Facebook, and she just declined. It's just got the situation got worse and worse and worse, and today I woke up to a scrolling my Instagram feed, and I saw a black and white picture accompanied by a text saying, "Dear all, I have instructed my family to post this message. I am no longer here." Um, so she passed away today, and it was very sad. For me, I felt really sad because it confronted me with death and with my own mortality, and um, I had to acknowledge once more it was a lesson that your time on Earth is finite. And she was only 26, I think. I don't know the exact year, but she was really young, um, too young. And she was ill for a long time, and it reminded me of my mother who died of cancer. Uh, there's flashes of death and not really cozy stuff you want to wake up to. but it's normal now in 2025. Um, then I wanted to talk about the seven mandate, the seven mountain mandate, also the seven mountains mandate, 7 or seven mountains dominionism is a dominist conservative Christian ideology with evangelical Christianity, particularly independent charismatic groups. It holds that there are seven aspects of society that believers seek to dominate: family, religion, education, media, arts and entertainment, business, and government. That sounds really scary to me. It's like the Taliban, with there's nothing against believing in a supernatural being who created the universe and stuff. Maybe if you believe, I believe God has fled the Bible and the Quran and the Torah and has hid it in diaries of immigrant children writing their poetry, their midnight poetry. It's in the generation now being born in a society where they need to acknowledge that there is a president of the United States with a screensaver of himself with not buck teeth but diamond teeth. This is his screensaver. And picture taken in the Oval Office. It scares me to death. It invokes a sense of horror on a scale of 1 to 10. I think a $1 trillion worth of, and every penny is spent firing each neuron in my neural network, firing horror scenarios about doom, impending doom into the world, into my world, and into the other worlds of other human beings, into a nation, into a planet. And it reminded me of the First World War, of a planet engulfed in industrial warfare, where tanks have traded places with the knights and the horses and the catapults, now with tear gas and um, machine guns and cannons and and bad horror stuff made of nightmares. I cannot even begin to imagine wet socks all day. And that is like the least of your worries. Have you had like wet socks when you just showered and you go into the bathroom with fresh socks on because you wanted to brush your teeth and now your socks are wet? Now imagine you are in a world war, in planet engulfed in blood and chaos, and your feet are cold and damp and are rotting away, and your friend is dying on the battlefield and you try to save them. I think it's not really cozy, to say the least. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much horror does this picture invoke into you? And I think all the bad stuff in the world happening over the past 20 years or something. It went really like millimeter for millimeter, meter for meter, foot by foot, just domino stones falling one to another, just capitalism growing and growing, and for a long time it was good, and we didn't really had stuff to worry about. Yeah, 9/11 happened. Yeah, there was something about $2 trillion that was gone missing or something, and they needed like a scapegoat, and then they invaded Iraq, and instead of arresting Osama bin Laden, they killed him without a trial. They didn't capture him because he was hiding in a cave somewhere, and 11 hijackers somehow managed to orchestrate the biggest heist in world history, and they found a passport just lying on the streets, just coincidentally. And I'm not saying that I know it was like an inside job, but I don't know the facts. I have only my imagination, so it's a I know a thing or two. I think about art, and it just feels like an art piece that doesn't convey. It feels like an art piece where the artist needs to explain himself what the viewer is seeing. And if you need to explain what the viewer is seeing, it's like explaining a joke, and then the joke isn't really funny anymore, I think. Can be funny because you know the context, and oh, I didn't see that earlier before. Context is king, context is for kings. Uh, is the name of an episode of a famous movie series. I think it was Game of Thrones or something. I think Game of Thrones was also about global warming, because the dragons being weapons of mass destruction, and all the geopolitical chaos, and the existential crisis of a everlasting winter or summer, how you may define it. Okay, so yeah, what I was saying, the thing is, over the past 20 years, large groups of millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires, and now multimedia Google-naires with generational wealth, with like unending amounts of money, with a Christian theology of the Seven Mountain Mandate. Ooh. Um, I think I'm seeing with my artistic mind like visions of a group of 300 Spartans, but in an evil way, just defending their Christian ideology, and they indoctrinate silently with marketing tricks, like 50 marketing tricks via seven mountains of um, dominion about family, religion, education, media, arts, and entertainment, business, and government. Please Google this, but I will try to explain. Charlie Kirk was a very right wing influencer who said, finally, a president who acknowledges the Seven Mountain Mandate, and It undermines the philosophy of Ubuntu. I am, therefore we are, or we are because you are. I am because we are. You are because I am. Ubuntu. Martin Luther King was a sort of a dreamer who saw a vision of a unified world where, well, you know the story. Uh, and this isn't just a figment of imagination. There are think tanks investing lots of money, like millions of money, into the European nation. I think they provoked Brexit. There are abortion is now up for debate. Roe v. Wade is undermined. Religious groups. If you just think about if a Muslim extremist group were to indoctrinate with billions of Bitcoin or some kind of money with think tanks, and they try to indoctrinate that. Hey, they believe in the same God. Christianity believes in the same God as the Muslim community. That being said, uh, they have different profits or profit margin, but it's all about money and power. But imagine just the Taliban um, dominating Sharia law. Uh, is it really that different than a Christian white man in a suit saying abortion must be banned? Um, Narnia was about God, in a lion, and not there's anything wrong with Narnia or imagination or a closet with a different world portal, but the Christian theology slowly made his way into the mainstream media and um, John Milton, the writer of Paradise Lost, and to find evil within the good things. No, it was to find good in the means of evil. No, to inflict evil with good deeds. I don't know. I don't know. What was the quote? It's in Vernon Lee, her masterpiece, the Belly of Nations, or Satan, the Waster of Human Virtue. Let me look up this quote. It was, and out of good still to find the means of evil. Yeah, like Facebook turned into evil, something really good about the world, bringing people together, sharing their personal data. The CIA was really happy about it, and it was really good. And then it turned into a fascist propaganda machine to elect political influencers to settle their dominion on on regular people, to sell certainty to the uncertain, and to sell fear, and it's now all out in the open, but it has taken its course in time in decades of. It's a slow burn plan. And it's really my imagination is just burning. It's not just a figment of imagination because all around the last 20 years in my life and in the world, I see right wing, ultra right wing, mega ultra, maga ultra right wing influencing like Taliban invoking rules and constitutions and just slowly burning up democracy from the inside, invoking if you can influence with marketing tricks to influence the votes, you can alter the rules of reality itself. And maybe you can read the book The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shin. It says something about language being is a construction of how you see your fantasy and how you project that fantasy onto the world. It's not new age. It has to do something to do with language constructs and your labels of meaning, of names, of how you perceive certain things as good or evil or something in between. And like the word woke now is projected like a bad thing, and the left is trying to debate. So, what the fuck are you talking about? Martin Luther King was woke. It was meant about discrimination. We should be vigilant or awake to see the injustice in the world. We do not sleep. And I think for the past years, the people have been asleep behind the wheel, and we have let greed and lust and sell marketing to our most vulnerable evolutionary traits. We all are afraid of the dark, and you can learn to outgrow that fear, but it's evolution to, in a reflex, be afraid of a suspicious looking fellow or woman or something in between to and they are very smart of this right wing influence. They are so smart you cannot compliment. You can compliment them on their billions of sublime deviants, but it's not a nice compliment because they are quite literal Christian Taliban. I know nothing about Hamas, but still, if I hear the word, I think, oh, they are bad people because they are terrorists. And it all depends on a language construct. Terrorist means something bad, but did you know that Taliban means seeker of religion, a seeker of truth or something? I don't know. It means something really innocent. But Hamas, I don't know what that means, but somehow I know it is a bad group, and I have never heard of them. Only them saying them. Who is them? Who are they? They are saying Israel, saying, oh, they are really really bad evil people. But all the things I have just seen in the last couple of years about Gaza and Ukraine and the Congo and Sudan and Africa, all the famines, um, all the suppression done by governments. I'm starting to believe Hamas wasn't isn't really that bad because Israel is pointing a gun at my head saying the sky is green, and we all know. Wait, what do you mean the sky is green? It's so certainly blue. No, it's green. You cannot look. The sky is green. Who is this man pointing a gun at me saying the sky is green? Why is he doing that? Because we have all seen the the news items of the famine, the bombs being dropped, Gaza completely being destroyed. They're like 200,000 tons of explosive on hmm, there was a calculation done that per child in Gaza, 100 tons, 100 kilograms of explosive has been detonated. And did you know in the First World War, um, per meter there were dropped 10 bombs, of which 3 did not explode, and we have been cleaning up all the explosives since 1912, 1914, and we are still 100 years later. We are cleaning up the explosives that were being dropped. It's hard to imagine a planet in war. And you hear these terms like, oh, the Second World War or the First World War, and that's just your mind grabbing at constructs of language, what you have heard before, visionary imagery of maybe you've seen things on TV or internet or other media, and but just imagine a world where Christianity has a domination of all aspects of daily life, just shoving God down your throat in family, business, in the arts, in movies, in the news, in politics, in government. Um, and then you can say, well, what's so bad about God? Well, for instance, there are scientists who say, well, I don't know, the first words be was spoken was ow, and civilization started with healing bones when other primates got hurt and broke their bone, and then some primates felt like this sense of empathy before the word empathy was invented, and they felt this feeling of, wow, he's saying ow, and now we can't hunt together, and he felt all this big feelings, and then he started to heal without a sense of language, just the universal language of sign language, and emotions, and survival is was like the biggest emotion out there in those days. I don't think we can comprehend the truth because the brain isn't built to comprehend enormous amounts of truth, how much we want to envision a singular theory about everything. So we say God. Maybe it was like a God being invoking that the body can heal itself. It's quite a wonder, you know. It's like the body can heal itself for a while. How did that came to be? How is it possible that a body can heal itself, not like Wolverine, but if you cut yourself doing the dishes with a knife and then you are afraid of blood and you go to the doctor and the doctor says, how old are you again? It's just a silly cut. It will heal thyself, you moron. But here is a bandage. True story. So, it is a thing to be said, the power of belief can construct whole worlds, but read a book. Then you can build all the worlds you want, and the brain doesn't give a flying fuck about if it's really a world inside or outside. It's all the same for the brain, according to quantum mechanics. It takes a thought into a man about some milk glands in a woman, and the man, his physiology begins to change. His blood begins to divert itself by a heartbeats pumping more and more blood because survival is triggered in a reflex of evolution crept in over millions of years, and with a single thought or a vision or a word or a touch, or not even a touch, but maybe like a memory of a kiss, or I don't know, something can trigger something in the mind of a human being, be it woman, man, otherwise something in between, or nothing of any sort of gender. Um, uh, and how did that came to be? Was it God, or was it maybe that word? Ow, ow! I am in pain. Please help me, or I will die. Okay, I will help you. We will go hunt together, but first you have to heal thy bone. And thus civilization started, and thus we dominate made dominion over fire. We tamed the wolf and the horse, and the agriculture revolution, and thus civilization was born with that word of owl. And all around the world, every every creed, every tribal, every tribe, every aboriginal, every Viking, every albino knows when he is in hurt, he will reflex and say, ow. Because normally another primate or being or sentient made rock will come and will soften the pain, and it will divert the attention of the pain, and it is an intense experience to feel pain. It's far more comfortable to feel love and otherwise engage of warmth and comfort and food and stuff. And no, okay. Some words can change the course of history, and now the course of history is being diverted with the words of Donald Trump saying, "We will just kill all the bad people bringing drugs." Boom! With a push of a button, with a single thought, he can wipe out the entire human race because he obliterates all protocol, all laws written in blood, all constitutions, all all human decency, all civilization. Because people who bring drugs to the country, maybe they are criminals, but they are still humans and still can feel pain. They have families, maybe they have like generations before them that I don't know the words. It just my soul is hurting and I am confused. But that is because I am human, and it is because there are Spartans, like 300 Spartans, with endless amounts of cash and money and Bitcoin now, with networks inside every aspect of daily life into in trying to dominate the family, the seven mountains. Well, religion is being said, I know, but if you have felt like within your own family network or friends or colleagues or otherwise engaged, other families that are friends with your family in your own bubble of your world, um, maybe they have come in contact with like um, news items about abortion now being up for debate. And how do you feel about that movie on Netflix about this little boy thinking he can dominate women? Does he have the right to do that? And is it not wrong of him to do that? And I think Netflix is doing very well, but in portraying like the man bubble of Andrew Tate now normalizing violence against women, and he's a human trafficker, and he's a rapist, and he's the shadow side of all the bad things in the world. And he is he is a hype, and I think he is hyped up because of this Seven Mountain Mandate. Something just clicked for me instantly, that within your own family you are discussing now normalizing how many rights does a woman have, in saying like it's up for debate. Maybe they have other rights now, they have other physiology, and now you're debating whether or not abortion should be made illegal. And so they are creeping into your family, and they are really sneaky, really marketing, tricking your evolutionary weaknesses into, and everything you are saying is playing into their hands. So maybe silence is the best answer if you do not know. It's Wu Wei, as Lao Tzu said. Not knowing is half the battle, and the other half is science. And 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 I'm really bad at math because I'm saying the other, and the third half is is uh, is that feeling of ow of a other human being saying, ow, I am broken, my leg is broken, I need surgery, please help me so I can help you assist in the hunt and gather more fruits and berries so we can tame the fire, the wolf, and the horse, and the carriage, and and right now, as I'm saying all this, all that I say is playing right into the hands, because you are now thinking, well, that sounds like a conspiracy. Where's the proof? Where are your sources? Well, it's all on Wikipedia, which is now being silently um, grokked. And when if it's a new term, grokked is like AI made by Musk and his fellows, um, of the 300 Spartans fighting with his right wing think tanks, brains in tanks, just assaulting Wikipedia. They are creating a new Wikipedia for the right wing, for people who think they are right in everything. and it should be right in everything. It's in the language. It's just if you can alter word constructs, language constructs, you can alter the vote and you can alter the rules and you can make more money and control and power and you can dominate like God intended according to the seven mountain mandate. Okay, so the seven mountains are family, religion. You can believe in God without reading the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or the Gnostic views of ancient mystic knowledge, or you can you can believe in Zeus without believing Aeschylus or Euripides or Sophocles or Ovidius' Metamorphosis, um, because everything in the world exists as a construct of language made with our little monkey sounds, with our little monkey scribblings of ink and paper, invoking our fantasy about the world we are dreaming. Education, well, there's a lot of things you can say about God in education now in America. Like 60% of America believes the seven mountain mandate should be a righteous path because they are educated to. Well, it's all over the media. If you look at Fox News, um, journalism has been made objective, and I think journalism is activism. If you have an interview with a Christian leader saying abortion should be made illegal, then it's your job as a journalist to look outside and see if it rains, and if they say it's not raining, look outside. In America, they've made abortion illegal and women are dying on the operation table because they cannot operate. Um, Women are not breeding machines. They are human beings who can say, ow, I am in pain. Let me rephrase everything. Like okay, like what if giant spaghetti monster, the religion or any other type of religion? Maybe if aliens came to Earth and they tried to over the course of 500 years try to force their religion onto you with all their magic machines. Or maybe if there were like autonomous robots trying to enforce their religion onto you, you cannot force a religion. Can you? Maybe you can if you have the right tools. If you can change the construct of language, you can alter the vote. You can make. You can alter what is normal in your virtue to act upon. If you can alter virtues, it's all in the language. It's all in the. If you can alter fantasies within people, you can normalize violence. You can make people numb and apathic instead of empathic. You just go numb after 3 hours of doom scrolling instead of hope questing. All your data that has been fed to Tinder or dating apps is all being slurped up with AI now, and it's all going into the machine of Oracle and Palantir in a global surveillance system. And I don't want to sound alarmist, but it's a new complex problem we need to deal with. Next to Russia, next to the global warming, next to Trump, next to um, all kinds of genocide, next to it just stands in the way of world peace. And we have enough resources and money and all the things in the world and people educated enough to invoke a everlasting world peace. We can be heroes for eternity, but we are being cock blocked by God. And it's all because the source of it is capitalism, is an extent of capitalism is fascism. An extent of democracy is socialism. And there are now people in the world who say fascism wasn't really that bad. Is the Ku Klux Klan really that bad? I don't know. Who cares? It's just a silly joke. Ha 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 ha. No, fascism killed like a lot of people. Did you know that in the Congo, in Africa, there were like 100 million people who died because of King Leopold extracted rubber, and now coltan is being extracted for your smartphone, and we don't even talk about genocide. 100 million people died because of rubber, because of a king called Leopold of Belgium wanted rubber for your rubber bands. Colonialism. Mm. So in Vernon Lee, her aesthetic work of Satan the Waste of Human Virtue or The Belly of Nations, she describes a ballet performed for Satan, and he orchestrates a orchestra of human passions, and patriotism is one of them. And in it, death almost dies because is there death if all people die? Is there death if all the animals and plants die? Does a falling tree make noise when there's no one around to hear it? Yes, of course, there's noise. But death is a natural occurring thing. It's a metamorphosis of a star exploding to make way for new stars. Black holes are a natural occurring thing in the cosmos. At the center of every Milky Way, every galaxy, there's a black hole with millions of other tiny black holes just making motion, stirring things up. Maybe there was no beginning or end in the multiverse of being alive. But that does not imply that you can kill people because you do not believe they are human beings. Intellectuals try to make a simple thing very complex, And artists make very complex things very simple in one image. And I'm trying to be both, and it's impossible. Let me say the word Ubuntu. I am because we are. We stand on the shoulders of giants. I am alive because my family brought me into being, and that family brought other families into being because other families were brought into being, into the great being alive. And maybe the cosmos is not a being of thinking in things we think of, but it is being in the being. It simply is. It just is without time. Everything is connected without time. Spirituality is maybe a dirty word now because it means doing something for another human being or animal or plant or object because you can, but and you don't expect something in return for your love or good deed. And I think that all originated in that wonderful religious experience when the first primate healed a broken bone in an other primate and learned the language of owl, and therefore he learned if apes together strong, we hunt together, we gather together, together. It is to say, together we gather the words in a first aid kit. If you don't believe in evolution, why do marketeers believe in marketing? Because marketing, if you believe the world is only 25 years old, 2000 years old, um, what about the dinosaurs? What about marketing? Because marketing knows evolution took place and they take effects of they exploit our evolutionary vulnerabilities. Is I believe a great argument against God because in America they have something called Disneyland, but in the Kingdom of the Netherlands we have something called the Efteling, and it is a magical place because all fairy tales come alive, and you believe for a day that fairy tales are real, and you believe in wonder and coincidence and 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 stuff and when you go to it, this theme park, you say as a group, from where do we meet each other when we are lost? And then they say a place, and then people get lost, and they will gather together to be one again because they're safe together. Why is it safe together? Because together we hunt for love and food and fairy tales and language and the beauteous, absurd experience of being alive in this fairy tale magic cosmos of endless possibilities. Ubuntu means I am because we are. We simply are. We are in being. Nothing more, nothing less, just is. just is. Everything is. And this is what the Buddha meant by waking up. The Buddha consciousness. It means to wake up to the grandiose experience of being alive. Just realizing I am breathing in and out. I am experiencing my mind going at it. I do not have to believe every thought I have. The mind is a tool and a mighty one, but it could also invert into destruction. Who is the thinker who is thinking? Buddhist monks made like 1,000 Zen koans, like riddles to shut down the mind and just experience this, like the experience of being. Just is, just be, just nothing more, nothing less. Just, and that is the most, and that is the first step, I think, in enlightenment. And then you, if even if you are enlightened and everything, you still need to fold the laundry, you still need to vacuum and mop the floor and go about your daily life. um, Being enlightened does not render you a almighty powerful being with magical powers. It's maybe you we can, if we go this down this path of collective being, then we can, maybe, I think, is my imagination, I don't know, I don't have any source based thing, but I hope telepathy is, because then you can feel other people's words before they speak them, because you feel. Hey, you ever had the feeling when someone is struggling to find words and then you say, do you mean this word or that word? And then he say, yes, thank you, I meant that. I think that is some form of telepathy. It's not this X-Men power. It's the power of empathy, as Hannah Arendt said, is it can prevent world wars, but it can also institute telepathy, maybe a little bit. If you can just listen to your real voice and the voice of another human being, I think you can maybe predict the future, or you can um, not hear the voice of another human being, but feel with empathy what he or she, or otherwise the case, is trying to say. And it can work two ways, or maybe three ways, but it's because it's very dangerous to put words in on another's mouth. But that duality of nature we need to ascend. So back to the seven mountain mandate. Um, Holy art or sacramental art is a art form. Um, there was this hype about JPEGs or NFTs, and that was like, I think, a fascist art form, just meaningless JPEGs that you can buy for $10,000, and then you can have a picture of a monkey on your computer, and then feel dumb about spending $10,000 on a monkey with a banana. Maybe go to the zoo or something, or maybe read a book about Jane Goodright. Um, so I'm talking about a dominion conservative Christian ideology with evangelical Christianity, particularly independent charismatic groups. It holds that there are seven aspects of society that believers seek to dominate. And everything bad going on in the world, I think, except for Russia, maybe, I don't know what's Russia's deal, but the Americanization of society, colonization, now we are slowly heading towards a Christian based society dominated by people who think women should not have rights, who believe prayer in school should be mandatory. If you think prayer should be mandatory, then also maybe all the religions in the world, like pray for the Quran or write poetry, and then maybe science, evolutionary, and let a child decide for her own, of his own or otherwise own um, what his or her fantasy may or may not involve. Because that's on the line here, fantasy, and the way language constructs are educated through the media and arts. And if there were like a new group of religious um, people and they think, um, I don't know, something really silly. Doors should not exist or something. I don't know. I just made it up. And they have like $1 billion to their name, and they have like think tanks, and they gotta ask the question, okay, how can we implement this theory that there shouldn't be any doors everywhere in the world? How would you just as a science projects? Maybe we can ask people: are there more doors in the world or wheels? And then they will talk about the number of doors that are in the world, and then they can think about um, doors in their in the way. Are doors in the way? Why are even doors? What is a door and why is it there? Why can't we have like an open based society where everyone can just walk in and out? And why are there vaults? What are they hiding behind the vaults? And other language constructs about what doors may or may not hide. William Blake said this thing about if the doors of perceptions are cleansed, you can see the world as it is, infinite. Yeah, that should be our religion. William Blake. Yeah, yeah, I think um, to handle life, there should not be a handle to the door. I just made it up in like 2 minutes, and you can already relate to this absurd notion. And now think about what's really going on. Wake up, sheeple, wake up. Look up the Seven Mountain Mandate on the internet before it gets erased from Wikipedia, and Charlie Kirk is being like a new messiah or a Franz Ferdinand in the First World War, being an excuse to all out war. Maybe I do want to sound alarmist because it's really dangerous. Because in the last couple of years, I believe that fantasy was the most holy of holy, the real private, still envisioning inner world, the sanctity of your inner thoughts. and that is on the line. Your innermost private thoughts about what you think is normal, what you should esteem as a high value priority in what is normal, what is love, what is what is, and everything you hold dear is on the line in your daily life when you go to the market, to the market, and slight is maybe there's like 1 in 400 trillion chance that we make a better world, but it also means a total revolution of the way we pay with money, we uphold laws, we think about democracy or fascism and language in itself. Maybe in 100 years we don't even use words anymore and everything is digital and God is computer, everything is computer, and slaves should be normal or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All I do know is I think my imagination is telling me, my autistic brain is telling me, um, all these bad shit in the world now with right wing gaining influence and gaining ground everywhere around in Europe where they can take a hold of, they are stepping their foot inside the door and they are exploiting every trick in the book, divide and conquer, and every marketing trick. For example, have you ever been to in a McDonald's? Well, that experience has changed over the last 20 years. It used to be a friendly family communal thing. But the, what changed with McDonald's? They used every marketing trick in the book, all 1,001 of them, to make more money, make more control, and feed into the machine of capitalism for shareholders to gain more foot. If you don't have any hope for the future, make or read poetry, because I think if you even if you don't believe in God, the construct in language what we have defined as a god, you have taken notice of a god or gods, maybe plural, like Zeus or Batman or Mars or Ares or Athena or any other god of all other tribal tribe in the world and beyond. Um, um, you can believe without you can believe in um, everything in the world exists. Alles ter wereld bestaat. Um, you cannot say fairy tales don't exist because it's a language construct that exists in language, in conscious, in collective, mainstream collective, as Carl Jung termed the coin, termed the phrase. It exists in your fantasy, and according to quantum mechanics, the brains do not um, see the difference what is happening outside the body and inside the body, because it's the outside and inside. There is no outside inside. It's all connected. It's connected via language. Dumbledore mentioned words are, in my not so humble opinion, shit, um, our moist, our most inexhaustible source of magic. And I know J.K. Rowling is a bad word sayer for saying bad words about some communities, but she was right in one thing: words are magic. What is magic? To do not know, to be curious about language constructs, to be in the unknowing, and thus via science, investigating. John Cleese said, I hope 2016 is the year we collectively decide to see science as a method of investigation, not a belief system. So test my theory out is all I'm saying. Make science of this crazy conspiracy theory that there is this mountain mandate fantasy going on in the world where a large group of billionaires are trying to dominate the family tradition, the religion tradition, education systems, the media, the arts and entertainment, the business and government. And please tell me I am wrong. Through the human soul and beyond, through the human mind, through the human collective of this absurd experience of being alive and beyond. Because I hope, and that is my imagination, my hope. What is hope? I know it's a language construct. Underneath the box of Pandora, my hope is that we can change the course of history today with a simple words like Ubuntu, I am because we are, and not, as in the words of Donald Trump, let's kill. Um, because we can alter now in two paths. I think we can maybe investigate this telepathy nonsense I am referring to with empathy or other paranormal gifts inherent in the human DNA we still haven't scientifically proven as a pseudo. It is pseudoscience. I don't know how it works, but we have a choice to either um, gain foot of the infinite potential of the human mind, or to put all our data in data centers slurping away water to cool down. I don't know. That was also disproven, I think. But and think about the door analogy I made just in 2 minutes, with just improvising a new religious group and how absurd it sounds to abolish all doors in the world. It's absurd. We need doors in our house because there is a shadow side of human nature that burglars then have free access to your um, stuff. So why would we then obliterate all the doors of our fantasies and make way for God to enter the house and alter what you think is normal and alter your family set of rules and alter your right to condoms or pills or medication or abolish all autistic people and all transgender people and all albino fucking aboriginal people and all because this cannot end really well for the human race. There were like um, 10 different subspecies of humans and only one survived. And I think the first genocide was the Neanderthal, and we killed all other species of humans in the early primal ages of existence. Uh, but that is a story for next time. See you next time. All right, bye.